Hello and welcome back to That's Entertainment, the weekly entertainment show where we look at all the interesting news from last week this week. This week we wanted to talk about Coda winning Best Picture at this year's Oscars and how the industry has reacted to a film from a streaming service taking the prestigious award and what it may represent. As an anonymous commentator put it on the Deadline Hollywood's website, Coda wins Best Picture. Boom. Movie theaters are now dead and people will end up staying at home to watch films on streaming services instead of the big screen, because streamers will now win Best Picture going forwards. A sad day for cinema. I'm sure all the theatre chains are in a panic right now. I think that's a pretty moronic take from my personal experience with cinema. I think we're going to be fine as we come out of this pandemic. At the end of the day, people need that collective fireplace for their storytelling. And, cinema doesn't compete with VOD. It competes with other forms of entertainment on a night out, not a couch. That might be something of an overreaction, but it's nevertheless true that this is the first time ever that a film that has not had a significant theatrical release walked away with the biggest award at the Oscars, even though other streaming titles have won various other trophies in recent years. Admittedly, the impact of COVID meant that there were significantly fewer theatrical releases in the running this year, and it also could be argued that the Oscars no longer reward successful mainstream films the way they used to. For example, Spider-Man: No Way Home received just one single Academy nomination for Best Visual Effects, even though it had taken over $1.8 billion so far at the cinemas globally, and it's the third biggest film ever at the US box office. It has 93% approval with critics and a 98% approval rating with audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. But what can't be ignored is the way that film fans' viewing habits are changing. As industry analyst Juan Herrera pointed out on LinkedIn, around 90 million people in North America have watched 10 films nominated for the Best Picture before the Oscar night, and close to 80% would have done it via streaming, while the remaining 20% would have gone to the movie theaters. In other words, online attracted 3.5 times more viewers than theatrical. With regards to Coda, though, it would be noted that the film wasn't commissioned as a streaming title by Apple TV. It was acquired by them after it was screened at the virtual Sundance Film Festival last year for a reported $25 million. But as Puck's Matthew Belloni pointed out, the film has already been sold by Pathé in many territories, and that was a huge problem because Apple wanted global rights. When a pre-sold film turns out great and streamers come calling, those territories are often offered kill fees, sometimes with a nudge from the agents who effectively tell the distributor play along or else. Apple did secure the rights to the film in practically all territories globally, with the kill fee paid to those distributors who had already bought the rights. And once the film began gaining momentum on the awards circuit, Belloni reports that the experts I consulted believe Apple spent between $20 and $25 million in awards marketing on Coda, plus all the Apple-owned platforms and billboards in key markets. That just shows how important winning the Oscar was to CEO Tim Cook, who saw Apple become the first streamer to claim the Best Picture award. And as Matthew Belloni noted once again, Apple triumphed just 2.5 years after formally entering the film and TV business. Netflix and Amazon, after more than a decade of original content and 5 years of aggressively throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at lavish campaigns, were outplayed by their richer tech rival. The film is a perfect example of the ethos behind Apple TV, which offers significantly less content than its competitors, but focuses more on delivering prestigious high-profile titles, as media analyst Michael Nathanson told the Wall Street Journal. It appears that Apple, due to a lack of library and intellectual property portfolio, has really tried to stick to quality over quantity. And as Variety reported, Tim Cook has acknowledged that the tech company is prioritizing prestige over profits for its streaming originals. We don't make purely financial decisions about the content on Apple TV+. We try to find great content that has a reason for being. Variety also noted that Apple may well reap another benefit from their win. The Oscar accolades may incrementally lift Apple TV's Plus subscriber numbers, but a more significant halo effect for Apple is added clout it can leverage in competing for deals with talent and producers and partners. Perhaps what Coda's award really represents is the future with cinemas, streaming platforms coexisting, and Apple announced last week that Coda will be showing in 600 US cinemas from Friday, April 1st, as the Hollywood Reporter noted. The films center on blue-collar fishing family in Rosyth, who include a mother, father, and son who are deaf, and a daughter who is hearing and acts as the interpreter for the rest of the world. It will return to theaters with open captions to be accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing. Screen Daily reported on similar plans for the UK, with BFI Distribution making the film available for cinemas to book from Friday, April the 8th. As in the US, all screenings will be presented with subtitles for the deaf and those experiencing hearing loss. The morning after the Oscars, AMC's CEO Adam Aron had some encouraging words for streamers too. He told CNBC, "I've been saying for years that the market is big enough for theaters and streamers to coexist. We've been involved with the streamers, especially Apple, Amazon, and Netflix, for years, trying to convince them to show their movies in our theaters as well as stream them. If we can convince them accordingly, I think that they will be more than successful than they are now, or were last night, and AMC as well." New research from Ampere analysts backs up on Aron's faith in cinemas, reinforcing the importance of the film's theatrical release to its bottom line. And according to the Advanced Television website, a report by Ampere compares how the three main film release strategies used by studios in 2021, theatrical only, PVOD, and duplex, with the films available on SVOD sites while still in cinemas, performed relative to pre-pandemic expectations. Ampere's analysis of 61 movie releases found that each strategy resulted in comparable net revenue for the studios, indicating that at least in the first release window, no particular strategy was superior. Ampere also found that although each strategy performed well similarly overall, box office revenues contributed to the bulk of studio takings in each model, confirming the relevance of the theatrical window, even within a depressed market and with a variety of alternative releases options available. So, I think that's real mud in the eye for the guy that we quoted initially at the beginning of this presentation. But cinema isn't going away. It's been under, every time there's a new technology released, every time there's a threat to the market, cinema is always decried as the platform that's about to die. Yet it's the single biggest generator of value for film. It's one of the few ways that we can actually benchmark film in terms of performance for net downstream negotiations based on the different windows, because your box office release is still really the only way that information is still relatively public. Everything else that goes off into a VOD platform effectively enters a black box, and that has downstream impacts on the way that producers and sales agents negotiate as well. So I think the economics are still there. I think we're probably going to have a future whereby, we'll have bigger hits but more failures as the market sort of comes out of this recession that was due to the pandemic. But I do think things will normalize. What we're very interested in seeing is the level of innovation that's coming out of cinemas now. So expect new experiences, expect different forms of content to be aired, expect different ways of approaching audiences. I think it's a good time. And, for an industry that has been largely stagnant for many, many years, there is plenty of hope out there. From a producer's perspective, the re-emergence of cinema post-COVID and the continued growth of streaming services offer great opportunities with an ever-increasing demand for new content. As Screen International reported, streaming drove 16.4% rise in 2022 global production, hitting a record high of $220 billion. And according to the Global Film and Video Services Market Report in 2021, the market is expected to reach $318.2 billion by 2025, and then another $410 billion by 2030. PwC's Global Entertainment and Media Outlook from 2021 to 2025 report offers further encouraging news for both VOD and cinemas. Global box office revenue is predicted to return to its pre-pandemic level by 2024 and hit $43.3 billion by 2025. However, worldwide revenue in the global streaming market should reach $94 billion by the end of 2025 and represent growth of more than 60% from the start of 2020. What remains to be seen is how the various players in both markets will evolve, with streamers facing unparalleled levels of churn in their well-established markets, and moviegoers showing an increasing preference for blockbuster studio titles and a premium cinema-going experience. What do you think? Will all today's SVOD platforms and cinema chains still be around in 5 years' time? What do you think might be acquired by their rivals or forced out of business? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember, we publish both to LinkedIn and to YouTube. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to this show. We always appreciate your comments down below. That's all for this week. Thank you very much.